Boys, the potential day of reckoning is finally here. We've all been complaining, saying that, oh, Merlin needs a buff. Merlin needs a buff. He's got to get something if he wants to stay up to date and competitive with these other supports. Well, it looks like Lesengle has finally listened. All of these buffs have been really good to absolute bangers. So I can't imagine Merlin's buff being even remotely bad. I am expecting this to be dummy nutty broken. Now, we also know that Nursery Rhyme also got a buff over here. I checked, it was not our NP, so we'll just reload the page and we'll check that one later. But obviously, let's look at the Merlin one first because this is the big one. Now, I do know it's a skill. It's not skill 1. Okay, it's going to be skill 2. So we're going from the invincibility on the party. That's 1 turn for 7 turns. Or not, on a 7-turn cooldown. That 1 turn for 7 turns would be crazy. We get the 50% star drop rate. And then we debuff the enemy, right? Okay, so now it's down a turn. Ooh, if you ever used Merlin in CQs, you know that being down 1 turn is real nice. It means you'll have this more available. The uptime for this will be a lot better. This being 3 turns is now up. That's good. If you've never used Merlin, but using him with like Buster AoE servants, even people outside of say like your Emiyas, your Iskanders, your Raikos, even people like say Suzuka that have a pretty good multi-hit NP, you slap this on them and they can kind of turn into really strong star bombs. And I am seeing right here that he is also going to give everybody 50% crit damage for 3 turns. And he's going to charge the battery of the party by 10%. Oh my goodness. Okay, this has more applications than just, oh, big battery goes burr, right? It's bigger than just that. Because imagine you have to use Merlin in, say, some type of like multi-core setup, or you're using him in Buster farming for whatever reason, right? For now, he offers a 30% battery, which is really good, but that star bomb rate, like over here, this crit star drop rate is going to be really good because if you are somebody with, say, a lower end account, you don't have the crazy like NP2, NP3 and higher servants, you need to use those face cards. The fact that you can more guaranteed bomb a bunch of stars and then have good crit damage on those as well, and it's for everybody, that's really nice. That's really good. Obviously, going into CQs, this is very apparent on how good it's going to be. Having the uptime on this be higher, getting more NP, getting the crit damage, this being 3 turns, I believe, okay, these were already 3 turns as well, but this is just nice. This is very good. Does this make Merlin kind of like an alt option for Buster? Is it like, oh, he's an alternate Clean Sky or an alternate Oberon? Not really, but it's still very strong. It's still good. Like I mentioned, if you are in a potential scenario where you do need to plug suit in, say, a Merlin for some reason, for farming comps, it's very nice. It's very strong. Now that he gives the 30%, that could be good as well if, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but if you're doing, say, an art setup, right, and you just need the extra battery, Merlin's not bad, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, being able to get extra battery if you fail to refund a little bit is always going to be strong, and the fact that he's now giving you a 150% crit rate up, if you just need that for face card farming, that's not bad. Sure, you might not always be able to use the Buster card if you're doing quick or an art setup, right? But having that ability, just having that option, I think is very strong. That's more so trying to stretch and find a use for this in farming comps. Obviously, I think this is going to be very good when going into CQs. Now, Nursery Rhyme is one of those servants that we'll go ahead and refresh the page here to see what her buff is. Okay, it actually isn't the NP, but we'll go ahead and check what this is. Nursery Rhyme, I feel like just anything that would help her do the big crits would be nice. And okay, so we're getting a buff to her second skill. She had the Tamamo buff, right? Yeah, so we have that. Is it still, yeah, 30-30? Yeah, those didn't go up. The cooldown's not down. Okay, yeah, we still have the buff success. Ooh, okay. Sorry, I saw the 20% battery there for child servants, huh? So that's good for her, because that's a 20% battery on top of the other battery she has over here. So now she has 60%, which isn't bad. I don't know if you'll really use her for farming very much. If I recall correctly, her NP gains, yeah, not super great with only 3 hits. So I don't know if this really helps her out that much with that. The arts buff is obviously nice. That's just something you would want all of your art servants to have. More damage, you know, on the NP is always going to be very good. Extra NP gain on the arts cards will be fine. I guess, again, making the options argument, she's going to be fine now if you don't have anybody else and say you just have a strong Nursery Rhyme. I guess that's really solid. That's fine if you go ahead and pick that up. But I think this is really interesting because say you're doing like some multi-core setup. The one that first came to mind is like maybe her and Voyager. If you have to do something that's like multi-core oriented, being able to give him that additional 20% battery, and maybe she can chunk a smaller wave, right? Take for instance, like the Lilim Harlan event had a second wave that had 100k enemies on it, which is definitely something that I feel like is in her wheelhouse to being able to take out, especially if you're doing stuff like Castaway and whatnot. I don't know how that really works out super well with Voyager being in the team, but, you know, it is there. You know, this is the first thing that came to mind. I mean, Ruler Da Vinci, I think also appreciates just having the extra battery, as her NP is not only damaging, but it also does provide support for the party. There's probably something there that you're able to get by and you're able to do. Obviously, we'll get more like child servants as time goes on. So, you know, this could just age very well. But I don't know. Yeah, like, it's not bad. This is not a bad buff for her. It's like kind of giving her just good stuff. Like an additional battery. The arts buff is very good. It'll improve her kind of mediocre damage to something pretty good, I imagine. And it'll give her extra NP gain. Now, the other thing that I wanted to go ahead and check out in this video as well were the other two buffs that I missed the other day, because I really wanted to put out that other video talking about the upcoming NA servant, so I didn't really get to do my daily talk of the buffs over here. And I still don't know what's up with Hokusai. I think I have pulled up the things that got buffed. Yeah, I have those pulled up, but I did not actually look at them. So Hokusai is getting the NP buff. The NP gain is huge. As somebody that was using her during the Bakken event, the Doggo one, getting that extra NP gain is going to be absolutely massive, I can already tell. And then she slaps them with arts down. I'm assuming that doesn't proc first, so in CQs, this will be very nice, because it'll mean your damage scales higher with every NP that you use, which is obviously very, very nice. If you're doing a multi-core setup, in a boss fight, it means that you put Hokusai first, she smacks him, you know, not only does your second NP get the overcharge effect of being the second NP in a chain, but then they also get the benefit from having that arts down as well, so technically providing more damage. So this is actually just a really good buff overall. More damage, always going to be very nice. The NP gain buff, very nice for farming, and then this will be very nice going into CQs and whatnot. Although, somebody can correct me in the comments down below. If this does apply first, that's absolutely massive for her, because technically then she's getting 2 damage buffs. Not only getting the higher damage scaling of a buffed NP, but also getting the arts resistance down buff, which is pretty nice. So we have red hair. Okay, we had the chance buffs. Pierce Invul for 3 turns. The Star Weight for 3 turns. So that's now guaranteed. We have the evade for a turn still. Okay. 15 stars a turn. That is new. Yeah, and the Invul is up from 1 turn. And then you bomb 15 stars? Where's the crit buff? Still 25% for 3 turns. Okay, so basically they just kind of made everything a little bit better. It actually is just like a slight, not I don't want to say a slight improvement, but just like one of those, I don't want to call it a quality of life upgrade, but you know what I mean? Where like sometimes a servant just has these like weird flaws or just mechanics that are a little bit strange, and they just went through and tuned some of those up. They were like, okay, instead of being chance based, you know, let's go ahead and just guarantee some of these things. Let's bump that up to 25%, I suppose. Let's make them 3 turns. That's kind of nice. This is just a very, very good skill for him to be getting. But yeah, obviously the big one is Merlin. Merlin getting the buff is absolutely huge. But I think just in line with all the buffs we've been getting, they're all just very strong. They're all just very, very good at addressing, I don't want to say flaws, but things that could be upgraded in these servants' kits, right? You know, like Hokusai, for example, I think is a perfect example of this, because, you know, they addressed her damage, they gave her NP gain, so if you want to use her as your looper, that works out a little bit better, and then if you want to bring her into CQs, she gets a little bit better at that. Red hair, definitely, like, as I'm going to call it, quality of life upgrades, making him just a bit more viable. Merlin, giving him that extra NP, you know, bringing down the skill cooldown, I think is very, very strong in that. There have been times that I've used Merlin that I've been caught, that it's like, oh man, if only I just had 1 less cooldown, or, you know, or just like a little bit less on this illusion skill, I'd be able to pop that and keep going. So that's very, very nice. Love to see that. And then Nursery Rhyme, again, it's kind of like on the Hokusai angle, except for a skill, because, you know, the arts buff is something that an art servant should have, you know, go figure. But then they also are getting the increased damage because of that, increased NP gain, and then an additional little battery over here, which I'm assuming is supposed to help out with their lower NP gain and hits over here. So, I don't know. Overall, I think these are very, very good buffs. I like what they're doing with all of these. I do like that Merlin's buff is very strong. I imagine a lot of people will think at first glance it's kind of mid, but I would encourage you to go out and use Merlin a little bit. I know that I will be doing some testing with Merlin now that he's giving this additional 50% crit damage is crazy. Plus the additional just a little bit of NP over there. I will be testing that out probably tonight. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna drop this video on the YouTube channel, and then I'm probably gonna play around with Merlin a little bit because, you know, how could I not? This seems real nutty, but I assure you this is going to be very good for him. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice one, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace!